What up, everybody in the YTBC? Hope everybody's doing well. Even though right now I don't got nobody, but people will show up. I'm always pleasantly surprised by how many people actually care to listen to what I gotta say. So, just for the playback game, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. This is not a boxing video. You could probably tell by the title, but just so there is no confusion, no assumptions that maybe there's some kind of clickbait or something going on. I'm just being clear. This is not a boxing video. This is going to be my thoughts on Coming to America. I watched it on Friday, March 5th, which was the day it was released. Um, and I debated on whether or not I was going to talk about this movie. I've decided to do so, obviously, but also, you know, um, if you haven't seen the video I dropped today, I started Red Glove Media. What up, JD Boxing? What up, Die Hard Casuals? Ain't sent what yet? if you can, if you can, y'all confusing me. What? Yes, with the verification mark. I don't know what y'all are talking about. If you are, maybe you are talking about Twitter, and I have to go and check my Twitter. It's been probably about a day. I'm terrible at checking Twitter. But oh, you seen it? Okay, you ain't seen it yet. All right, that makes sense. I still don't understand the verification mark. Anyways, I was editing, working on my first commission of Red Glove Media. Just so you know, Red Glove Media is something that I have started. People seem to really like my edits. There's a lot of people who tell me they don't got time to learn the shit or to do the shit or whatnot, but they still want that kind of quality in certain aspects of their videos or whatnot. So I decided to start Red Glove Media, which is where you reach out to me. We talk things out on what you want to have created. We agree upon a price, and then I create it, send it to you. Money's not due until the product is done. So um before I even announced Red Glove Media, I already had a customer, and I've had other people aside from that customer um express interest. So that's what made me go ahead. All right, JD, I'll check it. I'll check it after this live. But yeah, I just want to throw that out there. It's not something I'm gonna be pushing heavy. Um, but it'd be cool to make a little bit of money on the side using my editing skills. But yeah, I was working on my first one for my first customer, and that's the other thing. I'm not gonna be letting people know like who I'm doing stuff for. If I'm making something for somebody, it's up to them whether or not they want to um give me a shout out or say that I created or whatever. To be honest, I don't really even need that. It's cool if people still give me credit or whatnot. The way I look at it is you're buying it. It's kind of like, the watermark. When let's say you use an app and it has a watermark, and you know what I'm talking about. You get these push notifications. Oh, you want to get rid of the watermark? You want access to these extra features and blah 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 blah. Instead of using the pay version, use the pro version for only this many dollars a month or whatever the case is. So it's kind of like that. I don't I don't expect people to say, "Oh, this was my intro is Red Glove Media." This um if you pay me, it's yours. You give credit if you want to. If you don't, that's fine. You already paid me. But anyways, um, let's go ahead and talk about this movie. Yeah, I'm taking a little bit of a break, um, which is something that I do regularly when I'm editing. If you just stay on it, I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're like on a creative flow, then I say keep editing. But if you're not, it's good to take a break. So while I'm taking this break, I decided I want to go ahead and talk about Coming to America. What up, Sporting Advantage? And of course, I'm not talking about the original Coming to America. I'm talking about Coming, the number two, America, aka the sequel. Right? So I'm gonna go ahead and say this, and this may not be a very popular opinion, but I did enjoy the movie. All right. I will say that the movie was enjoyable to watch. I've watched some movies that felt like a chore to watch. All right. A couple movies come to mind. Australia. If you've never seen the movie Australia, it's funny. You're going to find it where I'm about to say this. I actually recommend that you watch it. Now, that being said, the issue with Australia is the first half of the movie is a chore to watch. It gets cringy at points. The acting's not bad. It's just the story just seems to move at such a weird pace and stuff. But then the second half of the movie is fucking amazing. Like Australia is actually really good in the second half. I think the second half of Australia is a great watch. Um, the other issue with Australia is it's a 3 hour movie. I'll probably give it a little bit less credit. I would say not halfway, but a good portion of the first, a good chunk of the first part of the movie is pretty god awful. What up, Volts UK, Toby Bartlett, Nordic Warrior, Retro Boxing and Documentaries, aka Blood Boxing. Blood Boxing already did a live on this on Coming to America. I I definitely recommend that you go and you listen to his take. He did a good job talking about it. Uh, I agree. Nordic Warrior making a sequel 30 years later does seem like a cash grab. So, but back to Coming to America. Oh yeah, but one other movie that I want to mention that was like a chore to watch, and this one was just awful from beginning to end, was Max Payne, which hurt me because I love the Max Payne games. One and two are classics to me. Three was good, not a classic, but it was still pretty damn good. Um, the movie, terrible. The movie was just so bad. And what's sad about that is I'm also a big Mark Wahlberg fan. And Mark, so you have Max Payne, one of my favorite video games. They make it into a movie. You got Mark Wahlberg, who's one of my favorite actors, and they totally fucked up the movie. Like it was terrible. Do not watch. I can recommend Australia. I cannot recommend Max Payne. Do not. That movie is literally painful to watch. So that being said, I don't feel Coming to America was painful. All right. Maybe it's painful if you're expecting it to be the same as the first movie, but it wasn't painful in a sense where I couldn't enjoy it at all. Now that being said, the movie, the big problem with Coming to America is that they played it real safe. Marky Mark is your favorite rapper. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. What up, BG London? I don't know if I think I said what up to you, but just in case I didn't, what up, Brown Gone One? Uh, Hold on, let me take a look at some of these comments. Oh, so BG London, you didn't care for the first one, and that's fine. This is all opinion based, anyways. I'm not gonna act like my opinion is right or your opinion is wrong. If you didn't care for the first one, that's fine. The first one is one of my favorite movies. I'm gonna keep it real, but um, I respect um others opinions as well. Nordic Warrior says that video games belong in their own medium. When you try to make an action movie out of a strategic stealth game, you end up missing the whole point of the games, and they never work. Yeah, I can agree with that to an extent. I think it's fine that they try to make video game movies, like movies that are based off video games, but it definitely has to be done right. There definitely has to be, it can't pretty much 99% of the video game movies that have come out are cash grabs. They're just they don't they're not familiar with the source material. They don't give a shit about the source material. They see big fan base equals big money, and then they make the movie. But back to Coming to America, um, the sequel. It just it lacks all the charm, all the um all the genius of the first one. It was like a lot of fanfare. There were some funny jokes in there, but they just weren't put together very well. And they really did play it safe because I mean, this is a Amazon original. I don't think they really rate movies that go directly to stream. But this was like a PG-13 version of uh of the original. And that's putting it lightly because um it I don't even think it was that much like the original, to be honest. To even say that it's a PG-13 version of the original. But for lack of a better term, it's a PG-13 version of the original. You know, like one thing that I took note of, just contrast and comparison, is there's a scene where I'm gonna get into some spoilers right now. There's a scene, not really, but kind of. Uh, Eddie Murphy's son in the movie. He, like everybody remembers the beginning of Coming to America. The beginning of Coming to America, the original, where Eddie Murphy is being bathed. You know that famous scene. The royal penis is clean, Your Highness. And the women are topless and all that. There's a scene in this one where his son, he's greeted by three women um who are there to bathe him. And I guess for those of you who haven't seen it, who don't care about spoilers, he he grew up in Queens and didn't know that he was the Prince of Zamunda. So Eddie Murphy goes and gets him, and he's like, hit the whole goal is because Eddie Murphy doesn't have a male heir to the throne. This is the closest thing he has is his bastard son, which is said so many times, and that That joke is funny the first couple of times, but it gets old real quick. Um, I feel like even Eddie Murphy's son, what up, the boxing Jedi? I feel like even Eddie Murphy's son in the movie was getting tired of the bastard son jokes. Yeah, it's his first. I don't know that it's Samuel Jackson's first movie, but it was his first major movie. And that was something that I know Blood Boxing said he was they did not come to America. The movie was an African banquet in Atlanta. That was funny. But it was definitely his first major movie. Um oh yeah, what I was saying is Blood Boxing, he took issue that Samuel Jackson wasn't in it. And you know what? I agree. I did look into it because I was like, when I was watching, I was like, Samuel Jackson has to be in it. So I was watching it. I went and looked up the cast, didn't see him there. Then I went ahead and the cast was very big. Like they had a lot of big names in this movie. And I'm gonna be bringing up some of those. But um, from what I understand, the reason why Samuel Jackson wasn't in it wasn't because they didn't invite him to be in it. They invited him to do a cameo, but apparently Samuel Jackson was too busy with other projects and wasn't able to make the time to come on the set to do something for Coming to America, the sequel. So, I mean, if the man's not available, I mean, it is what it is. Oh, BG London says that he likes Boomerang, Golden Child, and Places. Those are all good movies. Um, yeah, that's what I was. That's that's why I said it was his first major movie. I had looked it up one time, and I think I had saw that he had done like some low budget stuff before, but his breakthrough into Hollywood was Coming to America. It was his first major film, and he was in there for what, all for a minute. Boxing Jedi, he's pissed at Google, but yeah, it completely lacked all the heart and soul glow of the original. Soul Glow made no return in this movie. Daryl made no return in this movie. Like, how in the hell you got Louis Anderson return? Nothing against Louis Anderson. I'm glad he was there, but how do you have him return and you don't have Daryl return in some capacity? Like, even if it was just some kind of a mention, like, he Daryl had like a Jerry Curl empire. there, there couldn't have been like anything like that in this one. Like, did the empire, like, did it implode? If so, there should be a mention. We should see Jerry Curl Daryl out in the streets begging for money. You know, but there was no even mention of Daryl, no mention of Soul Glow. Um, and it's like Blood said, there was like this hot Atlanta vibe to like they had like these concerts that would just bust out of nowhere. Like, here's another spoiler. Um, you know, uh James Earl Jones, he's in the movie. Another spoiler, James Earl Jones dies in the movie. Like, and it's weird because they do this weird thing where they throw him a funeral while he's still alive, and he literally chooses to die right there in the funeral. It was he pulled a Yoda. Now, I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I'm not completely um Star Wars ignorant. There's a scene where in the original trilogy, Yoda, he just decides to die. Well, that's exactly what what Jaffa, King Jaffa decides to do. He just decides, you know what? This is my funeral. It's been beautiful. Nice knowing y'all. Peace out. In front of everybody. Like he literally chooses to die. He has Eddie Murphy come over to him. He gives him some final words and then he's out. He just dies right there in front of Eddie Murphy. But leading up to that was just a fucking, like Blood Boxing said, hot Atlanta concert that just breaks out, and they were like singing songs about the king and all this stuff. And yeah, hold on, they should have had him hanging on with the Jerry Curl and trying to survive in the hair product business. Yeah, they could have had something. What up, J Blues Radio? But okay, I was gonna get to that. BG London, Wesley Snipes. Was Wesley Snipes good in it? Yes, Wesley Snipes was good in it. He acted very well. He was pretty funny. He's not that much in the movie. He's like a little bit in the beginning, a little bit in the middle, and a little bit in the end. But this is what I'll say. He did well with what he was given. All right. I can't fault any of the actors in this movie. From Eddie Murphy to Arsenio Hall to Tracy Morgan to Morgan Freeman. Yes, they had Tracy Morgan and Morgan Freeman. Um everybody did did well with what they had. Even that chick, I don't know her name, the one who she was in the reboot of Ghostbusters back in 2016, the African American one. She even did all right, but she was annoying at the same time. And I'm and this is what I'm gonna say. She did well. It's that they wrote her fucking annoying. Like she was way over stereotypical. It was just not yeah, that's a good way to put it. Absolute star-studded cast, absolutely shit script. Yeah, the I think Blood was right. They should have had it in America. Like they come to America for a short time, basically just to get his son, and then they go back to Africa, and that's where the remainder of the movie takes place. The other thing is they had they had oh I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Let me finish on Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes was great. His character was basically a Disney Channel original movie villain, though. That's what he reminded me of. But he played it great. It's just they wrote him not so great. So I really did enjoy Wesley Snipes, though. And I think it's a shame that he doesn't get more work. I'm hoping that this what if anything good comes out of this, I hope that it's the revitalization of Wesley Snipes' career. But yeah, so the other thing is they were pushing a little bit of this feminism agenda. Um, they pull basically, have you seen the new Aladdin that Disney put out like a year or two ago? The one with Will Smith. You know, they had that whole, why can't the queen rule the country? You know, because in the movie Wesley or not Wesley Snipes, Eddie Murphy has three daughters. The oldest daughter, she's been training all her life for the moment to become queen and all this stuff. And there's this big emphasis on why can't the just because she's not a male heir, why can't she be or a male, why can't she be heir to the throne? And it's that's a big thing that they threw in there. And that was kind of annoying to me. They can go about things a little bit differently. Just make her the queen. Like, come on, like it doesn't have to be that way. Leslie Jones, that's right, that's her name. I forgot her name. Leslie Jones should in the movie, even her ugly behind can get pregnant by a king. Yeah, she was just like over stereotypical. Like when she's like, "Oh, that's my prince," and then Semi's like, "Well, he's a king now." She's like, "Oh, you a king? You a king?" Like, she was like that over. You know, it was just way too stereotypical. They could have written her a lot better. I don't mind Leslie Jones being the part. Just write her better. That's really how this whole movie is. Just write each character better. You know, um, it was nice to see Morgan Freeman in there. I don't think the movie is terrible. It's just not classic. It's nowhere near classic. It's a lot of fanfare. Like in the very end of the movie, they shoehorn in um Randy Watson and those twins, all the DJs want to see my breasts, like they all of a sudden they shoehorned everybody in. Now what I will say is that I did like the barbershop scene. I think they did the barbershop scene perfect in this one. They were talking about Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, and then they were talking about how he beat Conor McGregor's ass, and that was pretty good. I have no issue with that. I have no idea who that guy is. I'm gonna be completely honest. I have never seen him in a movie before, and to be honest, I don't care to see him in a movie ever again. Like that dude, I've never seen him, and he wasn't a bad actor, but there's a lot of other guys they could have picked to do a better job. I honestly think Childish Gambino would have been better. He would have did a much better job. Um, and I put that in your comments. I know you saw that blood, but yeah, I don't know who the hell that guy is. I've never seen him in anything. Um, Maybe I shouldn't say I don't care to see him in anything because I mean, even good actors have bad movies. Like The Rock, I think does great work. He even has a couple stinkers. So, and Mark Wahlberg, I mentioned he's one of my favorite actors. He had I mentioned one of his worst movies. So I'm being too harsh when I say I don't care to see him again, but I honestly don't know who he is. Um, I I do think that or that for anybody who hasn't seen it, they also have that chick from the Tyler Perry family reunion, the one who's like Myron. That chick, she's in it too. She plays Wesley Snipes' daughter, and there's not really much to say about her character because she's dull, extremely dull, which was by design. If you watch the movie, you'll understand why. Yeah, I've seen The Happening. I know The Happening um is considered a bad movie, but I actually think it's okay. It's not great. It's not, I don't think it should win any awards or anything like that, but I don't think it's terrible either. It's adequate. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Give Leslie Jones some respect and cast her in something a little, something better. Um, the McDowell jokes were pretty funny as well. Shout out to Mr. McDowell. I can agree with that, Nordic Warrior, that it's a great unintentional comedy. But even the beginning where like the body, and this is morbid, but it's like morbid comedy. Like that first body hits the ground and they look up and all those construction workers are jumping off the building. That part actually did make me laugh. And there was some other part. The part at the end where the old lady's banging her head through the windows, that made me laugh. There's quite a few parts in the happening that made me laugh, and they weren't intended to be funny, but they were funny. But where was I? Oh yeah, like um and I'm glad Blood brought this up. Like that was one of the best parts of the movie is when McDowell and Akeem are having a conversation, and it's completely the opposite. That's probably the part of the movie that belonged there the most, was that scene. Because in the original movie they have a similar talk, but he's talking to Hakeem as, he's very arrogant and everything. Not Hakeem, but Mr. McDowell. He's arrogant about this empire that he's built. He's proud of his house, and he thinks his daughter is about to marry a multimillionaire heir to this Jerry Curl empire, and this one is very different. He's talking to him as he really respects him, and brings up, the fact that he asks, well, I got to explain the dilemma. The dilemma is basically Hakeem's son is kind of in the same position as Eddie Murphy was in the first movie. You know, they want him to marry this girl. Really, he's in love with this other girl. And then come to find out he has like nothing. This girl that they want him to marry, she's just dull. Her sole purpose is to please him, which sounds good on the surface, but he wants somebody that he connects with organically. So, um, but Mr. McDowell, he basically tells Hakeem's son, "What would your mother say?" I always felt that she was the smartest of all the Jaffas. That she had the most wisdom out of the whole Jaffa family, and that really made Eddie Murphy think. But anyways, um, one thing I want to bring out too is that they had like this. I don't know what they were supposed to be. They look like they're supposed to be like a witch doctor kind of character, and I'm pretty sure it was Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy plays multiple characters in these movies. That thing needed to go. All right. I have a strong stomach. Okay. I I tend to watch like alien movies while I eat. Or I don't tend to, but I can. I can watch it. Like one time, me and my girlfriend were gonna watch Rogue One. I had to turn it off because we were eating, and in the beginning there was like this green squid faced alien shit. That shit don't bother me. I'm the kind of person, I go to the theme parks, I eat, and I jump right on a roller coaster. Okay, I have a strong stomach. That thing that Eddie Murphy played was very hard to look at while I was eating. I still did it. And I was like, damn, man, get this fucking thing off the screen. Like it was, it looked like the Crypt Keeper. We could have did without that. Hold on. It would have been a better setup if the king was drunk sleep and Leslie Jones slept with him and he didn't know. It would have been a better setup. They kind of set that up as what happened in the first movie. He was, drugged, and then he had sex with Leslie Nielsen. No, no, Leslie Jones. Oh yeah, they wouldn't allow. Yeah, that they would not allow. Not at all. Yeah. Blood boxing. If it was up to me, Eddie Murphy. If Eddie Murphy wants to, Eddie Murphy has basically been kind of retired. Now, in recent years, he's done like the Dolomite movie and now Coming to America, the sequel. And I keep on saying the sequel because the movie is literally called Coming to America, just like the first one. Difference is the two is not, but that doesn't come across when I speak, so I got to say the sequel. But other than that, he had been relatively inactive. If he doesn't want to do like full length movies, I would love for him to do him and Arsenio to do these barbershop conversations, the skits. You know, it could be I would love once a week, but once a month, I'd be happy with. Maybe once every other month, But I would love for Eddie Murphy to do that and kind of give his take on boxing, or even some of us write, some of the topics and how we feel, and then he come up with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that would be great, but that's unrealistic. I know that shit ain't happening. Never, no how. But I would love it because that literally was that and the McDowell scene were my favorite scenes in the whole movie. They really were. Um, I think Tracy Morgan did well as well. Out of all the char- out of all the new characters, he was my favorite. He wasn't too over stereotypical. He was he was a little bit of a caricature, but not ridiculous. And his character was very believable. The uncle who raised his nephew but considers him a son, and he's going to make sure that he's not done wrong. That makes sense. So he was probably the best well-written character in the movie, to be honest. Yeah, see, it was a good scene, but they could have did way more with it. I agree. Like they could have talked about the Fury AJ Wilder. They could have talked about Spence Crawford. They could have thrown in a little bit of Shannon Briggs. Talking about the let's go champ. Could you imagine this guy, the main barber? I like that Briggs guy. Let's go champ. Let's go champ. I think that would be great. And I think the preacher was all right too. He wasn't as fun he wasn't nowhere near as funny as he was in the original, but he was all right. But what would I have done differently? Damn near everything. Damn near everything. If I had my way, and this is 100% unrealistic, they wouldn't have been able to do this because the guy is dead. But if I had my way, number one, Patrice O'Neal would still be alive. Number two, Patrice O'Neal would have had a hand in writing this movie and would have been in the movie. Also, I would have loved for Samuel Jackson to make the return. Um, and shout out to Blood again, Cuba Gooding Jr. He should have been in the barbershop chair. They couldn't take a day to shoot that with him in the chair. Like that shouldn't have taken. And plus, I don't see Cuba Gooding Jr. do much these days, anyways. So I would have loved to have seen those two return. But being that Patrice O'Neal has died, um, I think it's been damn near 10 years since he's died at this point. But being that Patrice O'Neal is no longer with us, my next pick is really um, Dave Chappelle. I think Dave Chappelle, if he would have written this, would have been so much better. And I mean, he's worked with Eddie Murphy before. Uh, the first Nutty Professor, Dave Chappelle was in that. You know, I would love to have seen Dave Chappelle in this movie, and if he would have written it, I don't think it would have been the, uh, you know, a classic, or I think it could have been a classic. Let me take that back. It probably wouldn't have been as good as the original, but I think it had the potential to be a classic, a modern day classic. And I think Dave Chappelle, with his out of the box thinking, he could have made this movie very memorable. I'll put it to this way: anybody who's been subscribed to me for a while knows that from time to time, I will use jokes or parodies or references from the original Coming to America. Now, this movie wasn't a chore to watch and it wasn't a pain to watch if you can accept it for what it is, but it's no classic. I don't see myself ever referencing any jokes from this movie because although the jokes were funny, they weren't anything they weren't anything amazing. I think the first one had some crazy funny jokes and it was the movie itself was written so good. Patrice would have cursed out the director and got kicked off the set. He would have. But if he would have at least written the script or helped write the script, I don't think Patrice O'Neal was ever a writer, but Dave Chappelle is. So I definitely think Dave Chappelle could have written this movie on his own and did a way better job. Um, the You and Blood reviews ain't selling this movie for me to watch it. It's not supposed to. It's just supposed to give our take on it. Blood didn't like the movie. Well, I shouldn't say at all. He had a couple of nice things to say about it. Um, I think it's worth a watch, but it's a one and done. Like for me, a good movie is a movie that, for me, especially being that I'm not the kind of person who likes to rewatch movies. A movie that I will be willing to rewatch from time to time, um, is a good movie. Is a great movie for me. One of my favorite movies of all time is Forrest Gump. I love Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is so well written, and the jokes are so good, and the amount of irony in that movie, I think gets overlooked like crazy, but it's so good. I love Forrest Gump. That's one of my favorite movies. Coming to America is another one of my favorite movies. These are movies that I'll watch. I could watch all the time, and I don't get tired of them. Coming to America, the sequel, I don't plan on ever watching again. I don't ever plan on watching the sequel ever again. I think it's a one and done. You watch it, you get your laughs, whatever little bit of nostalgia they did take advantage of. There was a couple things. The barbershop scene, the McDowell's jokes. There was also like the return of those twins. There was a couple things that they did, you know, but they didn't take the original queen that Eddie Murphy Eddie Murphy was supposed to marry. She makes a couple appearances, barking like a dog. So they had a couple of they took advantage of the couple nostalgic things, but it wasn't put together very well. So, but yeah, I'm not trying to sell you to watch the movie. If you have, I'll put it to this way: if you don't have Amazon Prime and you have no interest in getting it, don't get it just to watch this movie. If you have Prime, and you like comedy movies, I say watch it with an open mind. Don't expect anything spectacular, and don't expect it to be anything like the original. Um, if there's something else on Amazon Prime that you're interested in, get it for that. And when you have some free time, watch this one. But I don't say, yeah, Forrest Gump is 10 out of 10. One of my favorite. What up, Haplotype Zero? Yeah, it did. It had a few moments. And that's why I say it's a one and done. The original, I could watch it today, tomorrow, and the next day, and I'll enjoy it just as much as the previous time. So I won't have that experience with this. It's a little too, um like you said, Hotland. I'm saying Hot Atlanta, but the Atlanta concert vibe, like, it fell flat in that regard. But yeah, Forrest Gump, definitely 10 out of 10. Trading Places, that's a very good one. Um, Whenever I think of Trading Places, for some reason, I think of Brewster's Millions, which is not. That's a good movie. I could watch that one multiple times, but I not like back to back. I can do without seeing it for a while. But Brewster's Millions is a good one too. Um, but yeah, those are my thoughts on Coming to America, the sequel. You've seen Jaws like 500 times. I've seen Jaws a couple times. I like Jaws. It's not the kind of movie. See me, I'm the kind of person who likes comedy, and if it's a good dramatic comedy like Forrest Gump, those tend to be like my all-time favorites. Like it's very hard for me to put any movie up there with Forrest Gump. There's some out there, I just can't think of them right now. But Forrest Gump, like I think it was such a well written movie. Like Lieutenant Dan, who makes such a big fucking deal about you taking care of your feet. Change your socks, watch your feet, always take care of your feet. Ends up losing his legs. And then many years later, he runs into Forrest Gump runs into him multiple times throughout the movie. But many years later, Forrest Gump sees him and he sees that he's like he has legs now, and it's really just prosthetic titanium limbs. um, and he's married to an Asian woman after he lost his legs in the Vietnam War. The irony is so crazy there with Lieutenant Dan. He's the one who loses his legs after making a big deal about taking care of his feet, and he lost them in Vietnam, and he marries an Asian woman who is probably Vietnamese. So yeah, gotta love Forrest Gump. So yeah, don't gotta love this movie. Um, and unfortunately, this is how it is with movies and music and just art in general these days. And before I end this, I just want to say this because I recently had this conversation with Black Horseman and a couple others. We started talking about we were talking boxing and somehow got into the topic of nature. And then shout out to One Two Kid. He brought up Chernobyl and how like after all these years, um there's still wildlife thriving over there in where the Chernobyl accident happened. Um even animals that have been near extinction are thriving in that environment, but humans have been able to completely wipe other species off the face of this planet. So we were talking about, nature, and I kind of came up with this theory that because as time progress as time goes on, human beings are destroying the earth more and more. We have today we have less rainforest than we did 10 years ago. And as time goes on, it's moving in that direction more and more. It's not reverting back to, you know, like there's efforts to make conservation, but it's not enough. It's only slowing down the destruction of the planet, but it's not completely eradicating it. And we were talking about, how it's good to connect with nature or the planet or your spirituality or with God, whatever you want to call it. Um, and because there's less of it around, it's harder to do that, which means we're getting inspired less, which is why you hardly get any new movies. And then the new shit that comes out gets replicated like crazy. How many superhero movies are there gonna be? Don't get me wrong, like I think Marvel has done a good job, but it's been the market's been oversaturated. Shawshank Redemption, good one. Also, The Green Mile is another one I really like. that that's that about sums it up. It's about a woman that date rapes Eddie Murphy and becomes friends with his wife. That's exactly what happens. You don't have to watch the movie. You got the gist of it right there from Blood Box. But yeah, that it because I was thinking about, I was like, it does do something for you when like I don't do it all the time, but from time to time I'll go to there's a park near me. Like I live near Raymond James Stadium where the Super Bowl just took place. Shout out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for winning Super Bowl 55, by the way. Um so you got Raymond James Stadium, then you got this big ass parking area, all right? Across the street on one side are some businesses, and right behind those are the Buccaneers training camp. All right, across the street from there is not a college, but like these vocational colleges that teach you specific things, like or vocational schools. My bad, teach you specific things, and then there's a private school next to that. All right, across the street from that, which is we're coming back to like where the Raymond James Stadium is, but across the street from there is a park. From time to time, I like to go park at that park. I actually did a live from that park one time. Shout out to OG Boogie, One Two Kid. I think D Jefferson, and I think the Boxing Jedi might have been on that live at one point as well. But um, I did a live, and they were all on the panel, and I was walking through that park. From time to time, I like to go over there and walk through that park because that park has legit woods. They have signs that say "Beware of alligators" and shit like that. I've never seen one, but the alligator that is, but I've seen the signs. Um, so there's not a whole lot of wildlife, but you could see a gator. I know they have bats as well. Um, so they have like a little bit of a nature walk, and I like to walk over there from time to time. And I really do feel like it does something for you internally. And I think with lack of that being around, and then also lack of people having interest to do that, that's why we don't get as much innovation these days as we once did. So it's just a theory. Hold on. The Last Detail, comedy and drama together. Check it out if you get a chance. All right, I'll definitely look for that. Yeah, because yeah, dramatic comedies have a lot of potential for me. Um, anyways, yeah, those are my thoughts on the movie. Y'all can definitely feel free to leave your thoughts and comments on the playback. I do appreciate everybody who came to the live and listened to me ramble and listen to me reminisce. I did some rambling, I did some reminiscing. But oh, hold on. What? Oh, Donnie Brasco, great movie. Casino, good movie. Goodfellas, great movie. Blow, great movie. Scarface, great movie. American Gangster. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't seen American Gangster. All 10 out of 10 movies. Yeah. Casino, I don't consider 10 out of 10, but it's up there. I give it a solid 9. And I like the jokes that I can make from it. I actually recently made, made some jokes referring to Casino. But yeah, um, I do thank each and every one of you. Like I said, if you have Amazon Prime and you like comedy, I say give it a watch. Just don't make time for it and don't get Prime for it. Anyways, y'all have a wonderful and blessed day. I will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.